Hi everyone, so in this video I'm making Princess Kisses soap. It turns out to be a pretty in-depth process. It takes quite a while. There's a lot of stick blending because there's 3 different batches incorporated in just the one soap. So if you want to grab a cup of something good and sit down with me and enjoy this video, then just keep watching. Okay, so I need to line my mold, so I thought I might show you how I do that. I had this filmed one time before, but my camera did not focus, and that was just weird and full of baloney. So I just have these little pieces cut just right for these ends. Not the best, actually. I have been cutting them a bit longer, but get the job done, use it up. These are the sides I tend to grab of the paper to unmold my soap. So it's usually best that they be a little bit longer, but I am not changing it. Is what it is. Okay, so this is measured basically perfect because you know what I said about that. I had him, my husband, I didn't build this mold. I'll tuck it down in here. Hopefully it's not going to be out of focus this time. So I had my husband build the mold to be 18 inches so that it fits the freezer paper just right. So once that corner's in, I kind of hold it and make sure everybody's got freezer paper, but it's not too loose. And then I just run my fingernail there. Looks like this is just a titch long. So I'll cut this off, but these little pieces are actually perfect when I'm making wax melts because I test the colors out on something white, and so that always works really nice. So little scraps so we don't waste anything. Seems a little bit loose, but it tends to smooth out during the pour because there's some pressure right here right now. So once the pressure of the soap pulls it down, it's gonna fit just right. Okay, so I am ready to make some soap. It's going to be a 3-part process because I'm working in the big mold. This is coconut milk. This scent does accelerate quite a bit, and because I don't have a pot big enough right now for the solid white, which it usually is, I decided to add a couple of layers so that I could just use my standard containers for the majority of it, and I didn't have to worry about matching white, as if I split it up into 2 different batches and I'd want to match the white. So this way, I'm just going to do some colored layers with the white on the top. I want this to be a pink layer, so I'm going to go ahead and add in some of my pink mica, and I'm going to add in a little bit of titanium dioxide. I don't want much because this is very thick. I forgot I made it so thick. I don't want it to overheat and cause glycerin rivers. I just want it to be a pretty, like, rosy pink. The fragrance is going to turn it just a little bit. At least it does typically. So since that's about what I want, I'm going to go ahead and put in the rest. And then I may add in a little bit of a neon. We'll see. It's currently the perfect pink, so we'll just see how it turns out in the long run. I think my bucket's gonna get pretty full here. I probably should have chosen something different. Well, maybe it's going to be a bit of a coral, I guess, huh? Still quite thin, which is unusual for this fragrance. Alright, so I'm going to let this set up and I will come back. Okay, continuing on to this next layer. I already have kaolin clay in there. I'm adding in the coconut milk. And this time I'm going to go ahead and add in my gold. My favorite is the Shimmer Gold mica powder from Nurture Soap Supplies. I'm going to put in a couple. Well, I'm going to see what I think of that first. I'm going to add in, whoops, and then another teaspoon. I don't often add in my color just dry like this because I don't like the speckles that you can get sometimes, but since I am working in such a small pot, it'll mix in a little bit better. So in with the lye solution. Quick because it was such a small container. I was really giving it an extra blend there. And then I'm going to use my Flutter spatula, but I will probably just, it's pretty solid, but just to kind of make sure. Oh dear, see now I done stick blended too much. Wow, that was bad. Sorry about that. I get a little weird sometimes. Alright, I think it's gonna be okay. Oh dear, oh dear. See, I shouldn't have done that. And this is such a thin layer that I really needed it thin enough to flood. I do want the rest of this in, but I may kind of just put it towards an edge and try to smooth it from there, so that if it doesn't smooth out very well, I'm not like taking out a whole bunch of bars in the middle. Let's use this guy. Looks like we're gonna be okay dokie. This is another good use for that. Alright, so finishing up here, I'm going to add in coconut milk. I use organic coconut milk. I have kaolin clay in there already. I'm going to go ahead and add in some of the titanium dioxide now so it can start incorporating. Tapping out the air bubbles. Now for the lye solution. I've had pretty good luck with my Princess Kisses not getting the glycerin rivers or titanium dioxide crackling, but I'm a little concerned because this mold is so big that it's generating more heat. And in addition to that, this batch has excess water, extra water I should say, because it's to accommodate the fragrance it typically accelerates. Definitely a creamy color, but lifting my glasses up just for a second to peek, it's definitely a lot whiter than I thought. So I think that could be part of some of my trouble. These glasses that I use, safety glasses, have a little bit of like a darkness to them, so that could explain a few things. If it ends up creamy, I'm going to go with it. I'd rather be a little creamy than to have the glycerin rivers. I may try to put a little fan on this mold just to help it stay, but the two layers already aren't really accelerating, so. Alright, so I'm going to add in my fragrance. And this is one of those things that, wow, that's always weird when it does that. I gotta not only get it in the mold, but have enough time to put in the little pieces that I put in the top. Wow, that really turned yellow this day. I guess I'm gonna put it in. We'll see what happens. Anticipating a yellow fragrance. I'm not quite sure why it seems a little bit more yellow than I'm used to working with, but whatever, that's what happens when you buy new bottles of things sometimes. So maybe it's going to be a pale yellow. I think it would still work if that's what it's going to do. So we're just going to be happy with it and not be cranky. Okay, so in it goes. So I have all these colored cubes, and I just make a batch of soap and split it up into a bunch of different colors is all. So let's see. Alright, that's pretty good. It's fallen in just a little, but nothing excessive. So now's a good time. Usually this thickens up pretty quickly, and then we find ourselves with squishy soap up around the cubes, and that's not my favorite. Whoa. Whoops. Well, that might just be a lucky soap bar down in there. I'm gonna move this back to where I had it in the first place so I can access it a bit more. This whole yellow thing is kind of irritating me, I will admit, but hopefully it'll lighten up just a little bit, and then hopefully we won't have any glycerin rivers either. It's definitely a risk when, one, you have to increase your water for a batch, and two, when your fragrance is yellow and you use excess, and also when the mold is a large wood mold, it's going to try to accelerate the heat within it. Accelerate probably wasn't the right word for that scenario, so as not to confuse it with something else. This is a really pretty fruity scent. I call it kind of tart, but some people evaluate that differently. I think of tart as just kind of like a sour candy, just like real fruity and bright, but not sour and in a negative term. It has notes of raindrops and I don't know what all. I'll have to. It's one of those scents. I've been using it forever, but I can't actually describe it. Oh, acai berries. That's part of the notes. That's what some of the main is, the acai berry. I think I'm going to call that good. I always like to put on gold glitter. This is super fine glitter, this biodegradable glitter, so it's almost like a mica. So when I'm shaking it, I'm kind of allowing it to spritz a little bit more, because it seems like it settles and then it doesn't want to spray. So it's just a matter of doing what always works the best, even though you probably shouldn't have to shake it. That's what works, so I do it. This is supposed to be Princess Kisses after all. So sparkly and glittery. Alright. So there we have the well glittered batch of Princess Kisses soap. Alright guys, I'll see you back here for the cut. I'm back to cut Princess Kisses soap, and it actually came back to more of a creamy color. I'm going to have to put this in my notes. I remembered this, you know, kind of after the fact, that it's really kind of a pale yellow at first, but it does tone down. This one did still overheat. I've made several batches since Princess Kisses, so I am doing considerably better at preventing it from overheating. But that's just me learning to work with this new mold. So some of the inside bars did overheat and crackle a bit. So what I did was I kept the end loaves as my main loaf, and then probably in the middle, I might sell them a little differently. I don't know. I think it turned out okay. There's some glycerin rivers, which is interesting that I'm getting it in the mica portion, but that's just the water and overheating. To work with a big batch, I prefer to have some water that I have some time to work with, but in this case, it has caused it to create some glycerin rivers, but we're okay with it. It's not too bad, and there's not much in the white. It's actually more in the pink. It just got plenty warm. So since I made this batch, I've been doing some different things, and one thing I've done is put it on a table closer to the air conditioner and have a fan. I keep a fan because the air conditioner is in the dormer, so that does kind of create some problems for getting the air out of the dormer before the air conditioner shuts off. So what I'm doing then is I have a fan to help push that air out. I turned the fan off for the videos, but I have a fan that pushes the air out of the dormer into the rest of the room. So I just kind of pointed that fan at the big mold, and it's just going to overheat. So there's always a learning curve when you're working with new molds, and especially one as big as I'm working with right now. It's a thicker wood, and wood is an insulator, and there's just so much soap in the one spot that it's going to try to overheat. That's just the way it is. It's just going to push a gel, and it's going to try to overheat, and so we just have to do things to keep that to a minimum. So one thing I've also noticed is there's a little kind of almost like a glycerin river line right above the gold. Can you notice that? Anyway, and you see these bubbles up here? That's just from the cutter, and there being bubbles in the soap. So that will all completely smooth out when I plane the soap bars. That's one reason why I like planing, is it really does clean up a soap. The wire cutter is kind of grabbing and shifting a little bit as these chunks are a little bit, they're a little bit older. So I don't know if you could kind of see that at all. I'm hoping this doesn't get too overexposed. I don't have natural light. This is a pretty top. I really like this one. I don't have natural light, so I'm working with photography lights, and I don't know, still working with this camera to get lighting the best and everything. I'm not a photographer. I am not a videographer as far as having any sort of training, so you just have to bear with me as I make adjustments to figure things out. Used to be when you came onto YouTube, you just came onto YouTube to share, and that was a fun thing. And now it's become like a thing where you're the best of the best, and you've like have major training, and you have, you know, $5,000-$6,000 cameras, and I'm like, I'm not into that really. I just want a good camera that'll do good video, and I want to take good pictures. But I'm just one of those people that $5,000-$6,000 for a DSLR, I'm just not into it. This is just a nice smooth lined bar, no glycerin rivers really, except for right there on top of that gold, and the gold is sparkly. So this is normally a solid white soap until we get to the colors, but because I was working in that mold so large, I decided for this time, since I don't have the right equipment quite yet, still researching, trying to find exactly what I want, because when you start working with looking at a pot that holds 22 quarts and stuff, those guys get expensive because we have to use stainless steel. We can't just use aluminum to make our soap. So the stainless steel pots are a bit more expensive, and so I'm just trying to make good decisions over here, and that takes research, and my mind has been very focused on just getting my soaps made, so I'm doing some improvising in the process. Alright, so here we have Princess Kisses, and this scent is just out of this world. It is my favorite scent, probably right after Figgy Cream. It smells so good. I have been soaping this scent since about I started cold process soaps. We're looking at almost 11 years ago, I think. I have a hard time keeping track. Okay, so there you have it. Princess Kisses soap is going to be part of our Rainbow Extravaganza that's coming in mid-September. Alright guys, I'll talk to you later. Bye.